How's it going, everyone? In this video, we are going to be doing episode 2 of my top-down chart lessons, in this case, reviewing a trade from previous week on the S&P 500. Let's get into the example. You can see here on the daily chart, we have an aggressive move lower and an aggressive move higher. You can tell this as we are generating fair value gaps on both sides of the market. We have an aggressive move lower, and then we have this other fair value gap making an aggressive move higher. So that's forming a V-shaped reversal. Now, if you look at a higher time frame, so if we go to the weekly time frame here, after removing these drawings, you'll notice when you have an aggressive move lower and then back up, that's forming a reversal candle on a higher time frame. So with a reversal candle here, I'm looking for price to trade higher in this following week and going to take out this previous high. So going back to the daily chart, what do we have? We have Monday open up as a consolidation. And that makes sense following a large expansion on Friday. So with the closure near the low, if we are going to frame a reversal or look for this reversal day, where can I look to trade that? Well, I can look for that previous day low, as I talk about in my candle 2 video. Now, marking out my point of interest as a fair value gap, the easier trade does lie in the continuation. So looking for the continuation following Tuesday reversal, I'm looking for Wednesday to trade higher. And that is the whole bias or idea for this trade, is Tuesday has reversed, so looking for Wednesday to continue in line with this trend as we have expansion, retracement into a fair value gap, looking for another expansion. So what do I want to look for next? Well, if you've watched my playbook video, I want to go down to the hourly chart. Down here on the hourly chart, I want to confirm that reversal. So I'm going to go and find the reversal point, which is this low. I'll find the low. I'll look for the series of down close candles that made that low, and did we get a closure through that level? And we did. So now I'm anticipating this reversal to be confirmed and for the next candle to trade higher. Now, where do I want to see this candle trade higher from? Well, I want to mark out 0.5 of this previous candle. Now, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and remove my drawings and just leave on my indicator. So you can see we had a reversal Friday, and Monday we didn't really get any action, right? We just had a consolidation or this slow, shallow move. So expansion, is this a consolidation or a retracement? Well, I view it as a retracement. And then we do have a reversal day. It's a bit tricky to try to trade that. And that's why I say continuations are much easier. So following into this next day, where do I want to see price respect? I want to see it respect the upper half of this daily candle because I want to see a small shallow wick so we can expand higher. So that is where I'll be looking for a point of interest or for price to reverse out of. So as we move ahead into the New York session, you can see we have these short-term targets as well as that previous daily high or that weekly high. And what are we doing into this? Right, you can see we do have a little reversal off previous day high. This doesn't make sense for a bearish perspective as we are just leaving these failure swings here. So that is basically irrelevant to me. And so taking a look at this, this could be considered a retracement, but I don't really trust this. This is just a consolidation. So if we are forming a consolidation, what do we want to look for? Well, we have the range high, and then we have the range low. So I want to see the range low be taken out into a point of interest. I have a fair value gap here in the upper half of the previous daily's candle. So I'll want to see price form a reversal in here. Now, if you take a look, I know I want to have this point of interest. Here is a reversal candle. I can be looking to trade this higher. Now let's go over a few things. We're going to go ahead and go to the 4-hour chart and expand out. Now, why did I choose ES and not NQ, as I do prefer to trade NQ? Well, I looked at YM. Generally, YM is strongest, NQ is weakest, and then ES will be in the middle, or vice versa. So here when I see that YM is very strong, I know that NQ is the weakest pair. So if I'm looking to trade long, I would prefer to trade ES longs over NQ longs. So coming back to ES here, that is the 4-hour chart. You can see we have this reversal. And let's dig into this and see how I got an entry. So if we're down here on the 5-minute chart, I'm looking for price to reverse out of this range low here and trade to the highs. That is my whole idea. So I'm looking for a reversal in here. Now you can see price has a bearish reversal here on the 9 a.m. open. It does go to its max expansion. And what do we have? An aggressive move lower met with an aggressive move higher. That's forming this higher time frame wick, and I have a change in the state of delivery. Now, those of you that know my model and the T-spot, you know I'm looking for certain areas to respect here. If we are going to form a higher time frame wick here, I want to see 0.5 of this wick be respected. And if I'm wanting to see this change in the state of delivery be respected, if I'm anticipating this low to hold, I want to see 0.5 of that be respected. So overlapping those two, or looking at that, I know I want to see price hold this area in here. I'll go ahead and remove all the drawings to clean it up. This is where I'm looking for price to hold. Now, do I have a point of interest in this area? I do, right? I have a fair value gap right here. So that will be my point of interest, where if I'm looking to trade this, I'm waiting for price to come back into this area to trade it higher. Now, why wouldn't I just take an entry right here? Well, I want to be able to exit or partial off before or at my short-term targets. If I take an entry up here and I have to allow price to trade into there and respect 0.5 of this order block, that is not giving me good risk to reward. So I'm going to wait for price to retrace to give me an entry. Now I am trading the reversal here, and that is because I do have a lot of context and I was confident in my higher time frame bias. But generally I'm going to let this higher time frame candle close and then trade the 10 a.m. continuation. So what I did here is we had a very aggressive move lower. Now this is where I could look to take a limit order in here, put my stop there, and look to trade to the high, and that would give me 2R, and that is fine. Now I still wanted some extra confirmation or to trade off of this continuation in here. If I was going to wait for the 5-minute continuation, where would that have formed? It would have formed right here, and once again, I would not have proper risk to reward to trade to these short-term highs here. So with that idea in mind, I'm then going to refine this entry. So I went down to the 3-minute in this area, and you can see we're also balancing out that fair value gap in here. And I noticed the same thing. I'm waiting for this continuation in here. I'm not really going to be able to get good risk to reward to this high. So this is where I will rarely, and in this case I did, refine it down to the 1-minute time frame. So with this, I'm going to look for a continuation out of this area. And so I want to see an aggressive move lower met with an aggressive move higher. So let's see if that occurs. I was actually looking to get entry in here. Just none of these candles were convincing enough for me to take an entry and put my stop on these current lows. And here you see we have expansion down met with an expansion up. And so what is that forming? A higher time frame wick. This closure through here forms a protected low right here. So now I can anticipate this low to hold as we trade to this high. So once again, can I get proper risk to reward with that? Well, no, I can't. So with that, I'm looking for another continuation entry. I'm just looking to seek continuations until the risk to reward makes sense. I'm not trying to force myself on a trade and just extend my target, because often if you do that, price may reverse off of that level there. So what am I looking for? If we have expansion, I'm looking for a retracement to get a new expansion, or expansion, consolidation, a move lower to then trade it higher. So what do I notice here? We get expansion, and then I'm looking for this to be a retracement. Why? Because we retrace into a fair value gap here. So with that idea in mind, I'm going to fractalize what I did on the daily. This is a reversal candle on the 1-minute, right? So if this is a reversal candle, I have all this context where I don't want to see this low get taken. I want to see 0.5 of this be respected here, right? This is where I need price to form a low if I'm going to trade it higher with my model. So in that case, I went and just waited for price to reverse in here on the 1-minute, put my stop on that low. I gained entry right on the break of the high, actually, and then I'm looking towards these highs on the left, or just over 4R. Now, I did go ahead and partial out at 2R, and you'll notice that in the executions, but you can see once we get the closure through here, then I'm expecting what low to hold? This low to hold. So now I really feel protected with my stop, even with that type of entry. Now it is possible, if I did miss that entry, to still take an entry like this, right? On the retest, as long as it gives 2R, because I have a protected low in a continuation here. But let's see how this works out. And you can see we go and trade to those highs. Now for me, I got out of all my position when we trailed it. I was expecting it to trade a bit higher. We got this consolidation. We broke out of this high. And for me, if we are going to have expansion, a consolidation we break, I want to see a retest and for that to go. If I have a consolidation, a break, and then push lower, I'm viewing that as a reversal that can then trade lower, and that's where I want to be out of my position. So if you notice my executions, I took off at 2R, I took off at highs, and then I trailed my position, and I essentially got out at the exact same point that I took profit here. So my runner just didn't do anything besides my last take profit. You can see we formed that little low there. I get trailed out, And then that is the rest of the trade there. Price does end up going to its final objective if we come back out here on the hourly chart. But I'm fine with my position and how I trailed it. And if you notice, we did get quite the retracement back into this area before it did occur. So the main points, if we're going to review this one more time before I end the video, is going out to the daily chart. If we're taking a look at the daily chart, I'm looking at the phases of price. I have expansion met with an expansion, which is a reversal. So I'm looking for a continuation out of that. Monday, we have a consolidation. Tuesday sweeps out Monday's consolidation, forming a reversal. So I'm looking for Wednesday to trade higher. When I go to the hourly time frame, I'm looking for price to trade out of where? The upper half of this daily range. As if price is expanding, I want to see shallow retracements. What do we get? We get expansion, consolidation. And if you watch my consolidation video, I'm looking to trade from the low in the consolidation. Once we sweep out the low in the consolidation, that is when I then go and use my indicator on the lower time frames, or in this case, the 5-minute. And I'm looking for price to form a low in here. So going back to there, this we did form a reversal, so I'm looking to trade that reversal. I just had to adjust how I was going to enter in here in terms of risk to reward and placing my stop where I felt comfortable. So I ended up getting an entry in here, and then I want to be able to take profit at these highs, as those are the intraday highs. And if we are going to not expand in this day, that's where I'm expecting a retracement, right? So that's where I want to be taking off some of my position. And so if we let this go, you can see we do get a little retracement in here before expanding higher, right? So that is what took me out, and I'm fine with that trade. I did miss this move here, but I would prefer that to have just occurred on this expansion here. So that's just part of the game. But if you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get to them when I can. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.